Hello, John.
Hello, Oliver.
Today we're going to talk about the old shops in Ireland, the old drapery stores and the old shop fronts, and the friendliness that was involved in all those.
That's right. I grew up in the 60s, indeed the 50s in some ways, and the 60s and 70s. And at that time there was a lot of competition in the grocery trade, which, funny enough, I worked at myself, supplying various stores. But in the grocery trade, there were shops, individual shops, and shops that had the sort of shop fronts that you only see now in very rare cases. As a matter of fact, I have a friend in Greystones that has the traditional shop front, and from time to time various television companies want to use the store to sort of reflect the way stores were in the 50s and 60s, and before that, of course. But this is the period that I can recall. And the stores had lovely shop fronts that indicating what they were at inside. And for example, in Dublin in the late 50s or middle 50s and 60s, there were shops that were belonging to groups offering good value as regards prices, which some people think that it was the advent of the supermarket monopolies that were started within this country, and that's when there was good value. I have to sort of remind them, because they seem to suffer from amnesia, that there was marvellous value in the shops in the 50s and 60s and 70s. For example, there were stores that were belonging to groups. For example, Piggy Bank was one group. They were operated by Carton Brothers Wholesale, a very good company to do business with, and the shops were owned by individuals but trading under the brand Piggy Bank and offering great value. One of the features of I'll mention other ones as well, Piggy Bank, there was Mace. There was they're still going. There was Spar, they're still going, owned by individuals. Spar. There was VG, which was operated by Garvey's Wholesale in Drogheda, and Mangan Brothers in the west, in Ennis and in the west of Ireland, and then by Punchers in Cork. For that certain reason, that was Mace. Then you had, you had Mace, you had VG, opposite by Garvey's, Nylands in Galway. They were wholesalers, I did business with them. And Musgraves in Cork, it was the VG brand, and they had great value. And of course, operated by the owners. Then you had Finlayers, lovely stores, and as you went into them, the staff in all these stores normally had white aprons, and so they knew you and appreciated your custom. And so much so that at Christmas especially, they often gave, well, they did to customers because we got it ourselves, usually a box of biscuits, sometimes a Christmas cake, and minerals, and then oftentimes a bottle of whiskey, or that type of thing. So depending on the amount of business you were doing with the particular shop, and you got credit. And by the fact that they knew you, and this was in Dublin. In the country, of course, people know people anyway in the shops, but they also benefit from the same business of a Christmas present for thanking them by the shopkeeper for their custom. So this happened in Boyle, County Roscommon, where we got this ourselves when we did business in the 50s. And then the same thing happened in Dublin in the 60s and 70s. So they had good value, and of course they did business with Irish companies. There was quite a few Irish food companies that are now no longer there, including the one I work for, which is in the pet food sector. Alas, a lot of these companies that supplied goods to these independent Irish stores, now they're no longer here, a lot of these companies, because very hard to do business with the monopolies because of their squeezing suppliers by way of price and then not paying them for months. This never happened when we had doing business with these customers at that time. We had also we had Leverett and Fry. They were another marvellous company, and there was Lipton's. Now, Leverett and Fry was Irish. They had lovely stores. Finlay's was Irish, and Lipton's had a head office here, but they were English, but they gave a lot of employment. And some of the people that worked in Lipton's got jobs later on in various these supermarkets that came on the scene. There was two or three things about stores that were there. They were often value, and they were giving credit to customers from time to time, and then the customers paid at the end of the week or at the end of the month, depending on what it was. And then the shopkeepers all over the city and in the country knew the customer and appreciated their custom. So it was very customer orientated. Now, why the powers that be, the politicians, the government of the day, allowed all this marvellous family business to disappear and introduce monopolies that don't offer the same value as far as I'm concerned, and are not supporting Irish products the way that these stores that we're talking about did. Also, because of what they've done, towns and villages are now like ghost towns, because the family businesses are not there. That infrastructure, you need that. There's no point in having German discount stores that supply their profits go back to Germany, or other monopolies where their profits go back to England or wherever else they're from. As a matter of fact, now we find that, for example, Spar is owned by a South African company. So I presume profits are going back to South Africa or wherever, somewhere. So monopolies are a dangerous thing. It's very surprising to John Malone and the Christian and Jobs Action Party that this government and previous governments presided over the demise of this country, and then they go and expect votes. People should have some kind of a memory and not forget about the value and the goodwill that they have lost.
Thank you very much, Sean.
Thank you very much, Oliver.